Hey, Shawn Clement here from the Richmond Hill Golf Learning Center at the in-laws farm just north of Montebello, south of Mont Tremblant, Quebec. And we're experiencing just amazing weather right now. Reason why you haven't heard a video from me in the last couple of weeks is laryngitis. Happens to me once in a while. Imagine that, a golf teacher without a voice, huh? So anyway, I thought I would use this opportunity. My voice is just coming back. And just to show you a little bit about anatomy and what it feels like when you're doing something that we did for the last few hundred years. We've been using hammers. So I want you to get a hammer with some nice heft. And, you know, first start out like you're going to hammer a nail straight into a piece of wood. So you notice how you're using the grip on the hammer. In your anatomy, as your arms hang alongside your body, you'll notice how your hands have a tendency to hang, just ever so slightly to the inside. So this is basically full extension of the arm right now, right? If you go full extension, your hands have a tendency to face themselves. Now, I take my hammer and I've got that nice feel right here. So if I miss the nail and I continue, well, I'm not going to hit myself, right? So basically, this is how you would hammer a nail straight in. And I'm using the weight of my hammer. Now, what if I wanted to hammer a nail, you know, on the target side, let's say, for golf? So you notice what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the angle of my hammer, and I'm going to change the angle of my body in the process as well. So for those of you who are struggling with the braced tilt aspect of the swing, or the idea of tilt, well, this is really going to help you out here, because I have to tilt my head, and in so doing, if I just tilt my head to the side without modifying anything else in my body, well, you'll notice I'm going to have an excess of weight on my right side. So when I tilt my head, you notice my posterior, my butt, tilts towards the target, right? So let's say target bound. Here's my door frame. See how I'm tilting now? So the top portion of my spine tilts this way, the bottom portion of my spine tilts the opposite direction. So now my body feels balanced. So when I take that hammer back, the weight of the hammer is not going to throw me off balance. I am dynamically positioning myself to stay in balance throughout the movement. So I am dynamically tilted against the left side. So you notice the weight goes from 50-50 to a different distribution of 50-50. On the insides of the feet, I'm an inside portion of my right foot, and I'm against the inside portion of my left foot. This now dynamically gives me the ability to apply some nice force in this direction instead of force straight down. So if we look at the golf ball, if the golf ball's your target, you will have a tendency to do this. Now look at where my head's going. When I'm coming down, see how my body's protecting itself? And there's your wonderful over-the-top move. So you always have to stay mentally linked to a target that's over there, so that your body instinctively stays in this tilted position to drive the force in that direction. Pretty simple, huh? So if I lose sight of that, then the brain goes, oh, you want to hit that ball? Okay, there you go, we'll hit the ball. Why, you weren't happy with that? You hit the ball, but unfortunately you got the wrong tool to do it with. You need a hammer and axe to hit the ball efficiently into the ground this way. Golf club is designed to hit the ball that way. So stop confusing your central nervous system. Stay linked over there. Now you're always driving the force in that direction. Now here's something as far as the release is concerned. So you notice when I went from this position to this position, right? If I remove that door frame, you know, right now I'm basically feeling the force being absorbed by this large piece of wood. Now you take that large piece of wood and turn it into a sheet of paper. Now all of a sudden, as the hammer comes through, I'm going to have to allow, you know, the weight of the hammer to release me, which means if you look at how my hand functions this way, I get ready to hammer the nail in this direction, and then I take my normal stance afterwards. Right? So you notice how the hammer's hanging from my hand? Full length is this. This doesn't quite feel right. Right? It doesn't feel like I'm applying any force. This feels like I'm applying the whole force of the arm and the body into the object. This feels like I'm only using the force of the arm. It feels like the shoulder socket's being popped out this way. Whereas over here, I feel like I'm using the leverage of the whole body to apply that force. That's why you'll see a lot of guys on tour have this 4-knuckle grip. Well, doesn't that fit? See how my right hand's underneath? That's a great hammering position. My left hand's going to be more on top in this position. Now, when I apply the force and there's no force to give, obviously the golf ball is not going to stop your swing, right? So you've got this Mack truck barreling downhill. You put a little apple cart in front of the Mack truck. It's not going to stop the Mack truck. So what happens as the force continues through, it's allowed to continue through. Something here has to give out of pure self-preservation, or else you're going to hurt yourself. So then the full extension of the arm is this. So the arm wants to regain its full extension. The body's going to get out of the way and allow the arm to continue so that the arm doesn't hurt the body. See what happens? If the body stays in the way, the upper right arm collides into the rib cage, then the arm collapses and I'm going to get the hammer tomahawking back into my face. So allow the hammer to continue, allow the hammer to swing you, and you won't hurt yourself. Now you're dissipating that force without injury, okay? So get ready to hammer. And get yourself a nice hefty hammer. You'll see what I mean. And then you'll see how the weight of that hammer has to swing you. And when you do this in harmony and you're really working with the forces of nature, gravity, centrifugal force, then you'll really truly know what it should be like when you're swinging through the golf ball. So that's why this neutral grip, right, would look like this. So here's a neutral grip with a square club face. That's why that weak grip and strong grip video is extremely important for you guys, especially if, excuse me, if you have a tendency to slice to the right. So when I'm over here and I'm swinging through, that club face will not rotate closed. What happens through impact is the ball gets compressed by the face, rides along the face for a little bit, then releases from it. So as the ball's riding along the face, you don't want the face to keep sliding open. The ball will just slide off the end of the face. The face has to continue to close when the ball is coming off that. It has to have a trampoline to come off of. If that trampoline is you know, you're sliding off the end of the trampoline, it's just going to glance it off to the right. So it's the same thing here. As I'm coming through with this particular part of the arm, there's the nail, there's through the door frame, and then there's a rotation here. So as it's coming through, it's releasing. So if the right arm is doing that, the left arm is doing this out of the way. So it's got to feel like if you just let the hammer swing that way, it will release itself. Which means at address, it's going to feel closed. Right? You'll feel like when you take your grip and you do this, right? Right now the hammer, this is square, this would be closed, so it feels really closed. You square it up, you come through the ball, and you feel like the hammer wants to close itself. Well, that is what's going to prevent you from slicing out to the right. That's why you see so many guys on tour with 4-knuckle grips. Look at Paul Azinger. John Daly, Fred Couples, he's still going strong. So I would say at least 40% of the guys out there have a very strong grip. There's a specific reason for that. Instinctively, they feel they can find their target without having to manhandle the club. Whereas everybody else is in a fashion, you know, like one of these fashion shows where, oh yeah, that club face has got to be square and your hands have to be nice and linear and it's got to look so nice at a dress. Well, that's not going to hit a golf ball for you to a target. That's just going to look pretty. For me, I want solid, massive, out to the target stuff. I don't want this fashion show. That's for the runway. You can keep that one. So I hope that helped you out, and we'll see you in the next segment.